Hello, everybody. Welcome to the LFC transfer room live stream. As we have a small bit of breaking news, it's not the big, massive transfer we were all thinking of, but sure, look, we're here. We have myself, Mihai, and Arnav with this bit of a late night stream. We've just gotten a here we go for Wataru Endo, who is a centre defensive midfielder for Stuttgart, who has just been signed for an 80 million euro, which is about £14 million deal. And not he's a 30-year-old defensive midfielder, plays a bit of centre back and a bit of centre mid as well. I'll throw it over to you yourself, Mihai. First of all, happy with this signing? Your thoughts on him as a player and what he might contribute to us?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to anyone. I honestly hadn't seen him play up until a few minutes ago or an hour ago, until I've seen some clips on Twitter. So yeah, nothing major on him. I'm just happy I'm just glad we signed someone. I think we all wanted us to sign players, so that's a good start. Now he's not probably one of the names that we necessarily wanted to see, but obviously if our staff identified him as a good match, then I'm not gonna argue against it. I've learned my lesson from a few years ago when I know we signed Robo, and I was like, why are we signing this guy from Hull City? He's like, I don't know, for 6-7 million, and then he turned out to be the best in the world in his position. So I'm not gonna argue against it. If our staff identified Endo as a good player, then I'm happy that we got him.
No, I would agree with you. I'm happy that we got him too. But the only caveat that I would add to that is when we got Robbo was young. This guy's 30. But I do believe that he can be, as James has pointed out here, that he's a utility player. And as W Dread has pointed out here as well, a Millie replacement, which is what I think he'll do, because he can play anywhere from the centre back role all the way up to the centre midfield role. So realistically, he can provide cover across 5 to 6 positions. So I think that's purely what he was bought for. From the clips that I've watched him with, he provides a good engine. He's wicked good in regards to tackling dribblers. And that's something that I think we definitely seen that we needed to stop against the likes of Chelsea with how quickly they got through our own midfield. Arnoff, yourself, my friend, do you think we're done in the market after this? God, I hope not. But what do you think about Endo yourself, or have you even watched anything of him since it got announced a little while ago?
Well, yeah, similar to me, I feel like Endo, I can't believe it, to be honest. It's like an out of the blue signing, 30 years old. I mean, we went from Bellingham, Caicedo, Lavia to now Wataru Endo, who's like plays for not even a good team in Bundesliga like Stuttgart. But I mean, he plays for Japan as well. He's in the World Cup, and he did decent there as like a defensive mid. But I feel like it is panic stations all around at Anfield at the moment. I don't know. I feel like we're clutching at straws at the moment after Caicedo and Lavia, and it's frustrating because I don't think Endo is any solution. I know he's going to play as a utility player probably, but even then, I feel like, oh my gosh, a 30-year-old is the best they could pull out. It doesn't make any sense, but it is what it is.
No, I get it, and I can see it. It's definitely just got to be a Miller, James Milner replacement. There's no other way that I can see it other than that. Mihai, with regards to depth, is there more that we need to do, or do you think he's solid depth and we get another starter ahead of him?
I think everyone still kind of thinks that we need another mid. That's been the conversation up until. Oh, sorry, my laptop's gonna die soon.
No problem. While you're getting the charger,
don't die.
I've made fun of Kev for doing this a few weeks back, and now look at me. Okay. Yeah, I think we all think we still need another mid. It's been the talk, since the beginning of summer. So obviously we need someone else to come in. The only problem now is that I think we have only one non-homegrown spot left.
Yes, we only have the one non-homegrown left. However, it all comes down to how we register our players at the end of the transfer window. If we don't register Adrian, we essentially go back to where we were at the beginning. So we get back a non-homegrown spot with that. That's my knowledge of it. Please, if anybody knows different, to correct me on that. Dan loves correcting me on things like that, so maybe he could chime in here. Dan, how do you feel about our new red samurai in Wataru Endo?
I think it's actually a very smart signing. I think some people are going to read this as people panicking and doing a panic buy. I actually think this is a very astute signing because it's someone that solves two problems, as someone who can come in at defensive mid. And like I said, we just need someone who can tackle and pass the ball 5 yards, and he can do that, and he wins his headers, and he can drop in for the defense as well. He's same size as Moises Caicedo. He kind of fills that Paulinho role, that kind of older head that can come in and start when you need him. And it allows us a lot more flexibility in negotiating bargaining power in the market, which we have not had since we lost Fabinho. So this kind of allows us to go out and get a younger player. Speaking of that registration, if we sign someone like Ryan Gravenberch, that we would not have to register him because he's 21 this year. We would only have to register him, I believe, next summer. So that allows us more flexibility as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we might walk into a situation where, it's different for UEFA and the Premier League, where Adrian, they may not register Adrian for the competition, and it'd just be Allison and Kelleher. I would be surprised they did that, but they might do that if they sign, say, Gonzalo Ignacio or Kevin Gerrard.
Oh, please, Ignacio. I've been screaming his name all summer. I genuinely think that the Adrian registration and deal was purely done out of fear that Kelleher might have gone, and we would have needed to fork out another 30 million quid, 40 million quid for another keeper. And I'd just like to point out, as I said here, we've over 100 viewers in here at the minute, only 6 likes. Please, can we see if we can get up to at least 50 likes on this? Thank you so much, guys, for watching and joining in with us. We know it's a little bit late, but we said we'd come on and with the breaking news. And one thing that I kind of wanted to point out that I thought was quite funny from Janiero here, that we're salty. Not particularly, considering your club won't exist in 3 years, but you live with that and you enjoy your 8-year contracts right now. We'll enjoy winning Premier Leagues for the next couple of decades to come yet, but you guys enjoy the championship in 3 years. Have fun. Thanks for the subscription, by the way, too. So realistically, you're helping the Liverpool channel. Good job, boy. Your joke didn't hit as well as I thought it would, did it? Back to the topic at hand. Dan, I mentioned to the two boys earlier about him playing depth, and you kind of hit the nail on the head. As we said, he kind of plays an awful lot. He can cover 5 to 6 positions from the centre back outwards to about centre midfield. So he can play centre back, centre mid, centre defensive mid. He provides a lot of cover. He is pretty much the James Milner kind of replacement that can cover a lot of positions, which I'm not mad at. But question that I'll throw over to yourself, Arnav, and then I'll go to yourself as well, Mihai, in it, is that who, after this point, do you think we should start targeting? Who sort of fits into the mold of it? Me, myself, I think the likes of a Doucouré would fit quite well, or possibly Kepram Thuram would fit very well in there, especially for the prices that they're going at the minute. Is there anybody outside of that you think?
Yeah, I feel like we mentioned earlier, Inacio. I've heard a lot of shouts for Paulinho as well. But I feel like Thuram and Manu Kone, I feel like those talks have really died down. I feel like Kone did get injured, but I think he's fit now.
He's back training, he's in training.
Yeah, he's back training. So I feel like they're also a good shout. But I heard the Doucouré shout. I'm not really a fan of Doucouré at all. No, not really. I feel like for 70 million especially as well, and for Palace having done really poorly last season. And I
don't think he goes for 70. I think we get with how desperate they are for funds. I genuinely think if we threw 50 at them with 10 and easy add-ons, we could get them that way.
I agree.
Even that, I feel like that's a lot. I feel like even that's a lot of money, but I guess nowadays that's the way the window works. Yeah,
unfortunately. And the only reason that I'd like Doucouré is purely because if you seen him at Lens before he came to Crystal Palace, he was basically Caicedo. You have to kind of take it with a pinch of salt and how and where he's playing. And realistically, he didn't have the greatest of midfields around him this season, so he was doing an awful lot of mop up work and an awful lot of defensive work as well. But you can see that in the stats. He's fantastic and very solid defensively. And as Dan said, we only need a guy that can stop the ball and pass it 5 yards. If we get a guy that can do that, he'd be a very interesting option in a double pivot with Trent. And then also we have on top of that, we have the likes of Benjamin Pavard, who kind of says his mind is already over in the northeast or the northwest of England, and the likes of United and Liverpool. So, Mihai, the same question to yourself. Outside of the names that I mentioned in Kepren Thuram and Gonzalo Inacio and Doucouré, is there anybody that you've seen, watched, or heard of that you think could fit in and should be somebody that we should start looking at as added depth on top of Wataru Endo?
I think if we've signed a 30-year-old now, it's probably the end of the Sangare links, because we're not getting a 28-year-old and a 30-year-old in the same position now.
25. 25.
Was he 25?
He's 25.
Yeah,
Sangare is 25.
Yeah, but I know what you mean. He feels like he's like 28, 30 at this point. He was linked to Arsenal since he was like 18. So, I understand that, though, Mihai.
Yeah, honestly, I'd like Doucouré. At this point, him and, well, I know I've said on stream a few days ago that I would take Inacio in center back. I will also take Tyler Adams as backup. But yeah, this Endo guy seems better as a backup, having him in a few positions there. Florentino Luis, I don't know. I haven't heard anything of him. Also, good player.
Yeah. There was a bid from an unnamed club that was declined.
Nottingham Forest.
Oh, came out that it was Forest? Okay.
How much?
So Forest bid, I believe they bid 30 million for him, and I can't remember if it was a situation where it was like a 30 million, but like a loan obligation to buy something as well, which I thought was kind of odd. But it was Forest that bid for him because Forest needed a defensive mid.
Yeah, they're somebody that's looking as well, and I think somebody put it on the group chat earlier that Chelsea were looking at Doucouré, and I was like, please, for the love of God, no. It's just
Chelsea gonna have 5. Like Chelsea's this is why he said salty. Like Chelsea's transfer strategy is just like, who are Liverpool linked and can we buy them on an 8-year contract?
Yeah.
That's all it's been for this summer. It's like they're not even buying players they need. They're just buying players because it's like, we can get one over Liverpool. Let's just do that.
Yeah, we can get whoever we want because we'll offer them 8-year contracts, and we don't think 3 years ahead because they're all going to want out when we get banned from Europe, and then we're going to have to pay their contracts anyway and their agent fees on top of it, and we're definitely not going to go into liquidation at all. No, that won't happen because Todd Bowley is God. Yeah. But I leave that rant out of the way.
Yeah, enough.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Mihai though. I think the buying of Endo in many ways is a reflection that they're probably going to get someone younger. I think Ignacio is the name we've always mentioned, but my question on Ignacio is the fact that if Liverpool wanted him, they would have just paid his release clause already. So that tells me they either don't rate him or there's someone else they want to get ahead of time. I still think they want to get Colwell. Like I know it sounds bad because he signed a new contract to Chelsea, but right now they freed up so much money to spend on a player. They could go in for Gravenberch at like 30 to 40 easily. They can go into Chuck Doucouré for 50 to 60 and still have no issue. And still have money left over to buy a defender, and they can still get Andre for 20 in January. So I think right now it's a situation where it's a very smart buy because you're getting someone who's solid, who brings everything you want, who is, so I think someone asked in the chat if he was good. Like, he's solid. Like, he's just going to come in and do a job. And you just need someone who's going to be a 6 out of 10, 6.5 out of 10 player. That's all you need right now for the other players to be brilliant. We just need people to carry the piano. We don't need people to play it right now. We can buy those players like Gravenberch and Doucouré.
Is that why the piano's in the background there? I like the living room.
Yeah, they're good. Like, Like, I need someone to help me carry this. He looks like he's good strong enough to carry it.
Yeah.
Arnav, how strong are you? Mihai, how strong are you? I need some water carriers here.
Now, I get what you're saying, Dan, but I also think that I feel like with the Lavia situation, we were dilly-dallying over 4 or 5 million with the money even then. So I feel like even then even if we wanted Inacio, the owners probably wouldn't even pay the price anyway. We'd still be quabbling about 5, 6, 7 million anyway. So I feel like they've shown a lot, and I feel like Endo even, it could be a good sign, and of course he's like solid, and you'll just get off the 5-yard passes and stuff like that. But even getting used to the pace of the Premier League, it will take some time. And he's not no Thiago. Like, Thiago settled in he took a bit of time, but even then he's a world-class player. So I feel like Endo might take a bit of time, and I don't think we can rest on our laurels really.
Yeah, I agree with that. But if you look at Endo's time at Stuttgart and who Stuttgart had as managers, the fact that we played Stuttgart a couple years ago and the preseason, I think it was the 2021 season, so it's the COVID season, 2020 2021. If you Stuttgart play a very direct, high intense style, or at least he did at the time under the manager. So I feel like Endo kind of is already used like, and plus this is a mid-level to a lower level Bundesliga team, so they're going to be at pace all the time as well. I get what you're saying though, and I kind of understand the fact that obviously anytime we're a Liverpool fan, we're always worried about transfer fees and if we're gonna have this money. The thing is though, right now is that $111 million was made available, so we know there is at least that available to spend on transfers. And yeah, it's always the worry that like maybe they just don't value Ignacio at 45, they won't go in for him. My belief is the fact that if they wanted Ignacio, they would have got him. So they obviously want somebody else. Is kind of like where I'm at this point as well.
I don't think it's Colwell. I genuinely don't. I think the Ignacio fee is purely down to the fact that it's a release clause, and even though it only went up by €5 million, that's like what, £3 million thereabouts.
Yeah,
it's not going to be that much of a difference. I think. I think he's a very not for lack of priority, but I think he will be done in the next couple of weeks in relation to the end of the transfer.
Or Madrid, because I think because Madrid need a defender right now. So like,
Harry Maguire's going there. That's stalled. Harry Maguire's going over there.
I think the Ignacio situation right now is more the fact that if we have been in contact with his agency as representatives, I don't know if he's a
Portuguese news has been reporting that we're willing to pay the release clause.
Yeah, but I just wonder if his head's been turned by Madrid or Madrid's reached out to.
I suppose Madrid might be the more viable option for him. We just gone past 200 viewers, guys. Thank you so much for joining us and watching us. We know it's a bit of a late night stream when we're hitting some different time zones as we are at the moment. Some of our American friends will be on with us as well. If you are up late, thank you so much for joining us. If you're only coming into your evening time, hope you've had a good day. Please do leave a like and subscribe, and if you haven't already, please do share as well. Helps the channel out a massive amount as well, and we always do love seeing our content all over the place on different channels too. It's great. Something that I did want to point out though, and we'll finish up in about 10-15 minutes, is Klopp has never won a title without a Japanese player in his squad. So
it's like the Croatia. It's like the Croatian and the Champions League thing as well.
Yeah,
let the piano start playing.
Yeah, we'll just leave that one out there that we've never. And we've seen Man City won as well. Apparently, they think they're the first treble-winning team to also go on and win the European Super Cup, which is incorrect. It was actually Liverpool, but they don't want to know that, so that's fine. Let them away with their 115 charges, FC. Mihai, with yourself. Going forward, I know it is not an awful lot to talk about here in relation to one signing, but it's news nonetheless. How would you feel at this moment if this was the last signing? Would you be with your pitchfork and torch standing outside Anfield if this was the last signing of this window, considering there was a £111 million war chest and we just spent basically 11 of that?
Pretty much, yeah. Don't get me wrong. I think, first of all, I do want to add to what Dan said a bit earlier. I think we need to get behind this Endo guy. I know he's not necessarily the name we were expecting. We were linked with Thuram, with Doucouré, Caicedo, Lavia, everyone for a long time. But he's now our player. He's going to be if Chelsea don't bid like 50 million in the next 12 hours. He's our player now. We have to get behind him. We don't have to be negative towards him just because our recruitment team let us down in the last few weeks. So, just get behind the guy. Obviously, if he's the last signing, then absolutely yes, we riot. But let's hope that, in this, 2 weeks left of the transfer window, we get at least one player in.
Yeah. Something Ginge 96 here, absolutely beautifully creative name. One of the signings will be homegrown. We can't buy 3 more non-homegrown players unless under 21. So as Dan mentioned earlier, Ryan Gravenberch would not count against the non-homegrown because he's under 21 if we did decide to pursue him. And also, if Adrian does not get registered by the end of the transfer window, we're back with still 2 non-homegrown spots available. And again, nobody has corrected me on that, so I think I'm right.
Yeah, that is correct. That is correct.
So yeah,
they
so
can
if
choose.
it's we can tiddle about with it and fiddle with it until the transfer window ends. And then once we hit the end of the transfer window, it's that 25 that's our registered squad, and then that's where the homegrown values hit and the non-homegrown values hit. And then we can fiddle with it again come January when we start signing other players again, he says, hopefully. But with the Adrian thing, as I mentioned earlier in the stream, that was purely done, I think, to alleviate the loss of a Kelleher if it did happen. Kelleher, I don't think, is going anywhere. There's not even been a peep about him in the public eye anyway, which I am so thankful for, even though as an Irishman myself, I wish he would go to a team that he could get first team minutes in, but he can't when he's behind the best keeper in the world at the moment and possibly in the Premier League. History, that is, not just in the Premier League. But with the homegrown, non-homegrown issue, as Dan mentioned, is Colwill. I think that needs to be clipped because I don't think anybody has any indication that unless Chelsea absolutely implode.
So
January.
I have a theory. Chelsea need to sell a lot of players, so they need to sell Gallagher. They need to sell
Lewis is up for sale as well for about 30 million.
Lewis, and also the other guy who played the other day as well. And they need to sell. There's another center back. I'm forgetting his name. He's like 22, but what's his name? Someone tell me in the chat if I forget. I just don't know Chelsea's team, but they need to sell players to bring in players you want to sign. Not just Michael Elise, but they need a forward as well because they don't have a striker except for Nico Jackson till October. I just think that I know this is mad because like I refuse to give on Colwell until I die or until like he just says no. I'm going to bin off Liverpool. I think that's the person they really really want, in my opinion. But they may go back in for a big center back that we're not expecting, like a Pierre Sure. So they may even throw it up for Bastoni.
I think it was mentioned in the chat that we had earlier, and I think one of our financial gurus that we have gave a very, very good and in-depth explanation about how, for lack of a better term, it's past the threshold. I can say it, how fucked they are. They're teetering on the edge. I think it's somewhere in the region of about just 10 million quid, and that's before they even try and sell Lukaku, in which they're going to make a 50 million loss on that. But then again, they have to sell other players on top of it. So I said this on the stream a couple of days ago in relation to the Caicedo deal. They're either going to have to sell the farm, they're either going to have to break FFP and profit and sustainability, or they're just going to back out. They didn't do the latter of the two, and they haven't done the first of the two, so it looks like they're breaking all FFP. But this is a Liverpool stream. This isn't a Chelsea stream. We'll stop moaning and bitching about people.
What do you mean Chelsea? Chelsea bought half our players, like players we were linked with. Like they're pretty much Liverpool FC, but just London. They're London Liverpool FC. Yeah,
pretty much. Guys, we've over 230 viewers in here at the moment. We're only on about 51 likes, just about 50 likes. We want to try and see if we can get it to 75, maybe even 100 if we're very lucky in the next 10 minutes before we finish up for the night, because obviously we don't want people staying up past their bedtime and getting cranky. But I'll pose this question to the three guys in the stream with me and everybody in the chat. I'll go around, I'll start with Mihai, then I go to Arnav, and then I go to Dan, and I'll say it to everybody in the chat as well. I want to get a poll of how many people are actually genuinely happy with this signing, given the context of the signing. I'll start with yourself, Mihai. Are you happy with this signing, given the context and what the expected role is going to be?
As long as that's not our last one, then yes.
Good. Arnav, yourself, same sentiment?
I feel like we should have got the marquee player first and then got an Endo to reassure things afterwards, but I'm really not. I feel like this window's just infuriated me. So yeah, nah.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. I think the marquee player first, but at the end of the day, if we still get both, I don't care what order they came in. Realistically, if this doesn't hinder us going forward and getting another player of a better caliber that can come in and be our starting guy, and then have Endo be our backup or our fill-in guy or our Millie guy, I don't mind that at all. Like, FSG have shown their hand. We have another £100 million to spend at minimum. We could very easily have more than that. But Dan, I'll move on to yourself. Is this a signing that you're happy with? Yes, no, why? And if you have any objective feelings into it at all, please do elaborate.
Yeah, no, I'm very happy with it. I actually think it's a very smart signing. I know we would prefer to have the marquee signing first, but I think what Jorg and everyone at the transfer room recognize that if they go for a marquee signing, there's going to be held up in negotiations forever. So what this does is that it gives them a lot of leg room because you can go to any negotiator and say, we don't need to buy your player. We want to buy your player, but we're going to buy them on our terms. Now, obviously, that may be infuriating for us as Liverpool fans because we want our good players. And, yesterday, last week, last month, since June, since May, for the most part, which is perfectly understandable. So for me, it solves a problem now. You get a leader in, and it gives you a bargaining position in the market that you did not have before. And right now with this market and considering both Lavia and Caicedo recently, we need that bargaining position back so that we can go and get a player we want. So now we're not forced to buy one specific player. We can buy whoever, be it Kone, Thuram. I don't think we're going for Amrabat, but hypothetically Amrabat, Paulinho, or Gravenberg. Like we can go buy any of them. Sangare, Firmino, Luis, whatever midfield we want, we can go get now and on our own terms and not terms that are going to be dictated to us, which is the most important thing right now in the market.
Yeah, that's something actually I forgot to mention to yourself as well, Arnaud. This kind of alleviates the desperation factor of it, of getting that marquee guy. It doesn't mean we're going to get gouged for it. And I'm just after seeing this being put into the chat as well now from one of the guys. It's a link to a gentleman called Dan Kennett. Took a look at Wataru Endo, the same as he did for Kone at the start of June. Statistically, they're identical in their play on the pitch. They run the same distance, which is around 11 kilometers per 90. Same intensive runs, which is about 70. Same sprints, which is about 16. 13 and a half joules, 1 per 90. And he still runs at 32.2 kilometers an hour. And he's better aerially than Manu Kone. So for being 30, I guess, I don't know, maybe he found the fountain of youth and he's able to keep going that way.
Also, it's important to understand he has about 10,000 less minutes in his legs than Fabinho.
That's true too.
So we sold Fabinho at 29, who had lots of miles on the clock for 40. He's coming in with about 10,000 less minutes in his legs. So we're getting, like Paulinho, an older player with a lot less minutes in his legs, meaning that we can probably still get a lot out of him for about 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, no, it's one of them kind of ones that took us a bit by surprise. I did mention it earlier in the transfer window that we're going to have a couple that'll take us by surprise and that'll happen out of nowhere. I was more so expecting it to be a little bit more than what we got, but Wataru Endo is a Liverpool player now, and he is going to get our full backing, and he is the Red Samurai. I'm going to claim on that moniker now. That's what I'm going to keep calling him. All it's going to take really is him to come in and 2-foot somebody in a tackle, and everybody's going to absolutely love him. That's the way I think of it. Mihai, do you think he starts or even appears in the squad on Saturday against Bournemouth?
I think I'd like to see him play at least 5-10 minutes, just to have, a round of applause, something. Yeah, hopefully we're 3-0 up by that time and everything's good. I would hope he plays just so that he gets his first minutes in front of the Anfield crowd.
Yeah, I agree. I'd like his first minutes to be at home as well. Arnav, are you of the same opinion in that? Like, get him on the pitch as quick as we can, get him some minutes.
Definitely. Yeah, he's just a player. He's like prim and proper. He'll get the job done, and let's get him embedded into the squad as soon as possible. Because as we said on Sunday, we definitely need a DM.
Yeah. And Dan, with yourself, you want to see him on Saturday, or would you like to see? I suppose it all depends on how everything goes in relation to signing and getting him over here. But you'd like to see him on Saturday, I'm assuming as well, yeah.
If he's ready to go, I imagine he'd have very similar instructions. Though I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a Jones, McAllister, Silva-Slide midfield, or even a Thiago coming in as well. I don't think I would like to see him start though. I think he would make more sense if he gets like 15 or 20. It kind of comes in at the very end as well. But I would be very surprised if they just threw him in that quickly with maybe not even one training session. They probably want a week of training with him before he actually starts a game. So I could see him starting Newcastle or Villa though.
To be honest, I don't see him starting at all. I think he's more of unless now he comes in and absolutely wows and comes in and dominates the midfield, then that'd be my opinion on him realistically. And as William Farrell says here, I've seen some clips of him. He is good. He's very good with the ball at his feet. He's very good getting tackles and everything like that. But Am I frozen? Isn't that hilarious? Oh, I'm back.
Yeah.
Am I back?
You know what this transfer reminds me
Oh,
of?
thank
Steven?
God.
Do you know what this transfer reminds me of? It reminds
Go
me
on.
of City buying a kanji, like that
Yes.
random buy.
Whoa,
And at the time,
chill.
well, listen, like at the time, everyone was saying like, why are City buying Manuel Akanji? Why have Dortmund let him go for like 10 million? No one really made sense, but then it turned out to be working City's favor. So for me, this is kind of like our Akanji moment where we're buying a player that has been overlooked, that has solid like skill sets and doesn't need to be like, a world-class defender or midfielder. He just needs to come in and do a specific job. That's all we need. Yeah,
no, as you said, we need somebody. We don't need somebody that's world class there at the minute, but we do need somebody that we can build into world class, much the same as with Fabinho. Now, obviously, he was very good when we got him, but then he became the best center. He became the best defensive midfielder in the world for a couple of seasons there. We've just under 270 people in the chat, guys, and watching, and we're nearly at 100 likes. Please do like and subscribe. And we'll try and get it to 100 for this bit of a late night stream. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. We go for about another 5 minutes, 10 minutes. If I can think of anything else to talk about, I'm kind of running out of things here at the minute. If guys in the chat have any suggestions of what topics you'd like to discuss, any Chelsea fans want to come in and try and have at me, go for it. I'm all game for that. But I don't think he starts at all for us. Genuinely, I think he's going to, as I said, unless he comes out and absolutely balls out and is like a prime Fabinho. As you said, he's got 10,000 minutes less than him. Like, Arnav, I hear you sort of giggling there to yourself in relation to, like, I know, I get it, but realistically, if we got somebody that's 30 years old and can play for another 4 years at a high level as a centre defensive midfielder, and we only got him for less than £20 million, and he can compete in a Premier League side, I'm not going to sniff at that at all. And we've just gone over 300 viewers, and this is nuts for nearly 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, UK time. This is great. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining us. Please do like and subscribe. I know I keep repeating it on like a broken record, but
do you guys think he'll stay playing at the top level till he's 33, 34 in that DM role? I feel like that's such a tough position to play, and as football progresses and time goes on, it's only getting harder. Like,
I think he'll drop back to a centre back.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, I do too.
He's 5'10" though.
5'11", but he wins his headers.
But he's great in the air. Jada's up. I'm 6'2", and Jada doesn't even come up to my hip, and he wins headers all the time against guys that are giants. So it's positioning. Positioning. That's what Jada's good at. He's not quick. He's not speedy. He's not strong, but his positioning is on point every time. That's why he get the goal against Tottenham. He was just in the right spot at the right time. That's what makes him really, really good at it. He's good at that, and the positioning of Endo from the clips that I've seen seem to be good as well. He's got a football brain about him, and he don't play until the age of 30, even if it is with Stuttgart in the Bundesliga.
Yeah,
you don't play professional football in a Division 1 league in a country unless you're good. Like,
I think didn't he get relegated? He got relegated with them and then came back up with them and then stayed there. I don't know. I'm just a bit skeptical. I hope so. I want him to do well, but
he's not a world beater by no stretch of the means.
No,
is he going to come in and be a Rodri? Not by any stretch of the means. And I don't think any of us are expecting that. But he can come in and do a job, and he can do. He can do a half an hour to 40 minutes a game. He can cover when some people need covering earlier on cup games and early Europa League games. He's depth, and it's a very good depth signing. Somebody that's a captain of their team and a captain of their country. We're picking these guys out like infinity stones. Like, we have about 5 or 6 different captains of countries with us. It's nuts.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of leadership there.
Does anybody remember what our starting midfield was against Norwich 2 years ago during the tour when we went for the quadruple? Does it anybody name that starting midfield?
It was Milner,
Henderson.
Nope. It was Milner, Keita, and Elliott.
Jesus Christ.
If I remember,
Keita played.
And Milner was the 6. Now, someone can correct me, but at the time, so. What I mean is the fact that this was a game. This was a game that like people were looking at like how we're gonna play with this midfield 3, but it works. So in this, and I get what you mean. that, like, you know, like, and again, like I said, I kept repeating the same points, but I just want to make it clear. Like, we don't need him to be Rodri. We just need him to be a
100%.
Kanji. Someone come in, just do a decent job, and that's pretty much it as well. Someone said, like, you know, oh, he's not like a Kanji. I mean, he's pretty much like 28. Kanji's 28. This guy's 30. You know, very low minutes, not very rated, decent Bundesliga player. All you need someone is to come in and just cover the position. Someone like McAllister, Thiago, Bajic, Elliott, you know, Curtis. All those players can do all the good, pretty stuff. He just needs to come in and win his battles and pass the ball 5 yards. I know I've kept saying it, but that's all you need right now for this team.
It's
something that sorry, go ahead, Arnav. I'll come back to this point now in a minute. I have it saved here. I see it. You go ahead.
I feel like it just feels so out of line for us to be promised. I remember on streams a few months back before the season started, we're thinking we're going to get Jude Bellingham. We'd been promised last season. We're going to get this big marquee player. We didn't sign anyone last season in waiting for this. And then it's just the season the window comes now. And yet, fair enough. You know what? Dan, Steve, Mihai, you might be right as well. And I think Endo will be a really good player as a little replacement and there to play in Europa games, Europa League and stuff like that and whatnot. But I feel like we've been promised so much and we've been let down even worse than what we expected, like by a lot. And I just feel like we really need to like raise our levels and raise our standards. And I hope we can sign a marquee player in the next few weeks. But I feel like this has been criminal from FSG this summer.
So, Arnav, I want to pitch something to you, and I want to tell you how this feels to you. So, we, Hendo, Fabinho, Ox, Keita, Carvalho alone. 5 players leave. We bring in McAllister, Soboslai, Endo. Let's just say, for argument's sake, Gravenberch, Ignacio. You've rebuilt your entire midfield in 4 players, and they got younger, and there's less minutes. And you started your defensive rebuild all in one summer. I get how it feels.
Ignacio and Gravenberch,
Yeah. Well, I get how it feels because we just end here. We'll be very disappointing and we still have a lot of work to do. I totally get what you mean, especially off the high of potentially getting Moises Caicedo. But I feel like right now with this Endo signing, it gives us position to do those last 2. And still, and again, get everyone registered for this year. So because you could register Gravenberch and that leaves you a center back that you can buy. Be that Ignacio, be that Hincapie at Leverkusen. Whoever you want to buy, I don't care who you buy for center back. You can buy, you know, Stefan. Do you have a brother or someone, an Irish brother who can play center back, or a cousin or something?
Well, Jude Bellingham is the Irish. So,
or Mihai, do you know any Romanian center backs that are under 21 right now we can sign? I don't follow the Romanian leagues. I can't tell you.
I do know some, but I don't think we'd want them necessarily. So.
Ring up Jurgen until the beginning. But my point being is the fact that if you get those 4, you've rebuilt your midfield, made it younger for the next 10 years, and you started your center back rebuild as well. So I get like the coming down off of losing so many players. I totally get you. Arnav. I'm just saying that like by the end of the summer we may be in a situation where we've done the rebuild and we have boss players and we started a center back rebuild as well.
Yeah, there's plenty of time left in the window. It's not the window we all hope for, but Klopp did say that some deals are obviously going to take longer than others. Now, obviously, we didn't expect the absolute farce and drama that occurred over the weekend. And realistically, we're kind of all still on a high of £111 million bid, only to go and be like, oh, okay, we're signing a guy that's €80 million. That's a bit of a letdown. It's not human reaction. It's natural reaction. And I'd just like to point out as well that we're over 400 viewers. This is nuts for this time of night. We're clearly getting all of our American friends and Canadian friends and everybody on the opposite side of the Atlantic up here, which is great. Thank you so much for joining us. We're trying to get to 10K hopefully before the transfer window ends. We're currently on 9.2K subscribers at the minute. So if you're new here, please do subscribe and drop a like and share as well. Thank you so much. With the last topic that we'll get on to now before I let everybody go, because I could just talk for ages. And something to your point, Dan, of asking about Irish midfielders. Technically speaking, Jude Bellingham, Jack Grealish, and Declan Rice could have been Ireland's starting midfield. So let me go and cry in a hole about that.
You have Evan Ferguson. Who's coming.
Oh, he's going to break the transfer market. I can't wait.
Listen, you might have the greatest Irish player in history with Evan Ferguson. He might get Ireland into a World Cup.
But you know what's hilarious? The team that he used to play for in the League of Ireland, which is called Bohemians, right? There's a particular sell-on clause that Brighton have if he goes for the equivalent of what, now this is just if he goes for the same as what Moises Caicedo went for, the sell-on clause that would go to Bohemians is in the realm of about £20 million. That's the equivalent of winning the League of Ireland 109 times.
I read that somewhere.
That's the equivalent of winning the Division 1 of Ireland 109 times from a sell-on clause.
No.
Evan Ferguson is going to break, and that's not counting the fact that Evan Ferguson is going to go for probably to the likes of Barcelona, Real Madrid, or a Man City first, and I'm going to hate it if he goes to Man City.
Is Cameron Archer at Villa Irish or is he English?
Oh God, he could be a mixture of the two. An English guy that has an Irish passport. That kind of way.
I was going to say, I like where is all this Irish talent coming from, and why are they deciding to be English all of a sudden? Don't they know England doesn't win anything?
Yeah, we see the reason is the reason Declan Rice and Jack Grealish, we consider them snakes, is because they came all the way up through the Irish youth system and then said, "Good luck, we're out of here. We're going now and playing for England." And we're like, "Okay, cool, thank you." But there is, the thing about it is you can count on it in the next 20 years or so. I say 20 years, but you can count on it. So there's been €1 billion injected into the Irish football scene. There's about 500 million going into grassroots. Then there's another 300 million going into, I think it's about $1 billion going into it. So there's 500 million going into the grassroots, which is all over the country. And then there's about 300 million going into the grounds to allow them to bring up to UEFA standards, because what happened with Derry City, they were meant to be playing a UEFA qualifier for the Conference League. They couldn't play it in Derry. Bring the cat on the stream. Dan, bring the cat on the stream.
No, my wife is trying to bomb this with her other cat. Like,
bring the cat on. We want to see the cat.
No, stop.
Yeah, we want. Oh, look at him. That's adorable. Thanks so much, Dan's wife.
Sorry. Can you ask the cat? Do you play center back?
Oh, listen.
You're better than Endo.
Listen, I wish Mihai. Listen, Niall. His name's Niall Nunu. He has no thoughts. This man is just he has no thoughts. He's not athletic. He's very clumsy. So yeah, he can play center back for Liverpool.
But would he look cute? Would he look cute in the jersey though? That's really the main thing. Could he be used as PR?
Are you kidding? Like these cats could be Liverpool's mascots, and they would make like billions of euros, billions of pounds.
Literally.
Good. That's fantastic. We'll arrange a new kitty line for LFC Transfer Room now. That'll be beautiful. Now we're gonna end it there, guys. It's coming up on just over 40 minutes of a stream. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We're still at concurrent nearly about 400 viewers at the moment. If you haven't already, please do like and subscribe. Thank you so much for joining us. Up the Reds, and we can't wait to welcome Endo this weekend. Thanks so much, guys. Have a good evening. Have a good rest of your day. Have a good night. We'll see you guys soon.